This is WBZ TV Channel 4 Boston. It's 5:30. Live on 4, New England's first look at DVD news for Thursday, November 6, 1986, with Joe Scoleo, Chris Canaglia, and the entire Eyewitness News team.
Now here's Joyce.
Good evening, everybody. On this Thursday, November 6, 1986, I'm Joyce Scoleo, with what's happening on Live on 4 on this Thursday, November 6, 1986. Top story at 5:30 p.m. is in Boston, where the 13-year-old son of a Boston City police officer faces charges of juvenile delinquency by reason of murder and the stabbing of a 17-year-old who allegedly was fighting with the suspect's brother. The 13-year-old boy was not named because of his age, was arraigned Wednesday in a closed-door session at the Dorchester District Court in the death of Anthony Thompson, one of 3 separate slayings Tuesday night in Boston. TV4 Eyewitness News reporter Charlie Austin has a report. The suspect was freed in $500 bail after hearing in the juvenile session of the court. Bail was set by Judge James Thibodeau, and it said David Robin, a spokesman for Suffolk County District Attorney Newman Flanagan. Witnesses said Thompson, a West Roxbury High School student who lived in the city's Mattapan section, had gone to home in the Dorchester section at 2:30 p.m. to visit his 1-year-old son. Because Thompson appeared intoxicated or under the influence of drugs. India Coleman, an 18-year-old, the former girlfriend of Thompson and the child's mother, asked him to leave. Coleman's sister told the Boston Globe. Witnesses said Thompson argued loudly with the ex-girlfriend but would not leave. The police officer, who lives in the first-floor apartment in the same building, forced Thompson from the building. Back on the street, Thompson broke 2 windows into the police officer's apartment, prompted the officer's 17-year-old son to go outside and fight with Thompson, the witness told the newspaper. At this point, the 13-year-old emerged from the home and stabbed Thompson under his arm once with a kitchen knife in an attempt to get away from his brother. The witnesses said Thompson died Wednesday night at Carney Hospital. The election day slayings included Thompson, Eugene Evans, 22, found stabbed in the Roxbury section, and David Scott Stewart, 17, found brutally slain in the Dorchester section. Charlie Austin, TV4 Eyewitness News, Boston.
That's the source of the showers.
Boston bail has been denied for the reputed Boston organized crime boss Ilario M. Zanino, who asked that he be released rather than be moved from a hospital where the U.S. Marshal Service says it cannot afford the bill. U.S. District Judge David S. Nelson ruling Wednesday leaves the U.S. Marshal James B. Roach a decision whether to transfer Zanino from Lemuel Shattuck Hospital to a federal facility in Springfield, Missouri, or to the Essex County Jail in Lawrence. Dan Ray has a report. Roach pressed Monday that he couldn't leave Zanino at the hospital because the Marshal Service is being charged $353 per day to treat Zanino, 66, of Swampscott, who has a heart condition. Zanino's lawyer, Joseph J. Bellero, asked that Zanino be allowed to return to his home rather than enter the Essex facility, which would cost the government about $40 a day, or in Missouri. Roach disclosed that the Marshal Service has paid $11,000 and owns Lemuel Shattuck $113,000 for Zanino's care since his admission in August 1985. He said he's trying to retain a lower rate from the hospital. Bellero said a transfer to Missouri, where the cost would not come from the Marshal Service budget, would prevent him from helping prepare Zanino's defense. The Essex County Jail lacks adequate medical facilities, Bellero said. Nelson gave me no explanation for his ruling. Zanino, who the FBI said took over from General J. Anguilla, 6'7", of Nahana, former Boston crime boss, faces trial on racketeering charges of July and January 12th. Anguilla, who is convicted of similar charges and is serving a 45-year prison sentence. Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis and newly elected Lieutenant Governor Evelyn Murphy shook hands and thanked supporters Wednesday in Boston City Hall Plaza. Dukakis won re-election while Murphy was re-elected to her first term. The Democratic ticket defeated Republicans George Karyotis and Nicholas Nikitas by Massachusetts gubernatorial history's
in both directions leaving town.
First time that the margin is unprecedented. In Wakefield, a 17-year-old Melrose High School junior was killed and 2 of his friends were injured when their car crashed as they were headed to buy lunch. Police said Kenneth Marshall, a student who hoped to become an auto mechanic, was pronounced dead at 12:25 p.m. Wednesday at Melrose Wakefield Hospital. Wakefield Police Sergeant Richard Cheever said. Treated and released from the hospital was Jeffrey F. Crest, 17, who was driving, and Robert McGibbon, 17, said the hospital spokeswoman Carla Beecher, all were in the occupational education program. Principal Claude Cruston said school forbids students from leaving the campus during the day. It said it appeared the 3 had left during the lunch period to buy their lunches at a fast food restaurant on the town line. Boston unwed mothers in 17th century Massachusetts had the law on their side and getting their children's fathers to provide support. The women of Puritan society were given potential legal recourse against men who would try to shirk responsibility for their offspring, saying Roger Thompson in his study Sex in Middlesex, Popular More. It was in Massachusetts County in 1649 and 1699. Tanya K has a report. Under law written in 1668, the mother's word was often enough to convict a man of formation of a sentence to him a lifetime of payments and possibly a public whipping and line fines. Despite the straight-laced reputation of Puritan society, the law was involved in more frequently than modern Americans might suppose. This was far being expressed where fascinated sexuality they read and talked about as it seemingly leaves the sexual tensions by various means short of the included intercourse rights. Taught at the University of Eastern Gillen and Norwich, England. He observations are based on a study by the years of the court in town records to the Middlesex Court of an area north and west of Boston that originally included Cambridge, home of Harvard University, and Concord, where the American Revolution later began. During the period, there were 161 cases of pre- and extramarital fortification, as well as cases of youths caught in the act and amalgamated parties. Puritan society wishing to ensure that the community would have not to have pay for an illegal and illegitimate child's upbringing, and that the sinful parents we expended were anxious to identify the father as well as the expected mother. Under the law, midwives became inquisitors and would refuse to become a woman in labor unless she named the father. That law did not always work on. Lieutenant Thompson writes, Susanna Coburn told a midwife in 1696 that I must perish, for I do not know when the father is. She later testified she was afraid to name the baby's father, who was the son of her midwife, Elizabeth Wells. Worked to 11 that if she became pregnant, she would lay it on one who was rich, not able to maintain whether the way his or no. So a woman took another approach. Tony K. 11-4 in Boston. Worcester, Massachusetts. A 24-year-old Worcester woman was killed and 2 other people, including the motorcycle patrolman, were seriously injured during a police chase throughout
Not the victim.
Downtown Street Police said. Police Lieutenant Paul Kimball said their 5-mile pursuit began about 11 a.m. Wednesday when officers attempted to stop the car with a man and women inside, which sped off for downtown. And he said the car has been under surveillance for about a week, and the officers believe was being used to transport narcotics. The 15-minute chase. And when the car ran a red light, then slammed an 18-wheel tractor-trailer, Kimball said. Miguel Rivera was thrown through the windshield by the impact died in the emergency room in the United States and the United University of Massachusetts Medical Center. He said the 24-year-old driver was listed in fair condition in the intensive care unit at St. Vincent's Hospital, where it said a hospital official refused to give his name. The driver's name was listed in hospital records as Robert Agardo, but police said they believe there may be an alias. The injured patrolman Donald Lunn, 43, was listed in fair condition at Memorial Hospital with 2 broken arms and a broken leg, said hospital spokesman Bob Rustino. Campbell said Lunn was injured if he failed to negotiate a sharp curve during the pursuance bill. Boston in about 18 months. That man saying, "Pack the car in San Francisco." Height Ashbury could well be an undercover police officer with a heavy regional accent imported from Boston, full unsupervised and unsuspected. Local criminals are the fellow in jeans saying, "Yeah," in Boston's notorious combat zone. May have a real $7 and be a genuine Atlantic undercover officer brought in under a planned exchange program. Although the Boston Police Department declined Wednesday to provide details. Level officer disclosed plans to organize exchange officers with other departments around the country, especially those with language skills needed in special situations to help ferret out crime. It's going to make everybody's life a little more interesting, and the criminals told the police said. Superintendent Johnny Gifford, chief of the Bureau of Investigative Services. He said the swap will begin after the final details are nailed down, expecting the late 87 early 1988. He refused to give any dates of the specifics about the plan, saying that would give any aid to the end world in Boston for the second time within a week. Authorities were investigating a highway accident involving a school bus as 12 injured students rose to 47.
The real question you all have is
a dump truck slammed in the rear of the school bus carrying students Wednesday afternoon.
To the voting public, to the city, to Council Rivera.
They were taken to the Boston homes from their high school in suburban Walpole, sending 17 injured to 2 hospitals, the police said. Estimated 40 students were injured Friday when
this time to even address you.
The first accident when 2 buses collided in Boston. 1 girl was evaluated for a back injury and considered for administration to Carney Hospital, and the others were released after treatment, hospital representative said. Tom Century police spokesman said the dump truck hit the bus about 3:15 p.m. in the Mattapan section and no charges were filed in the case the bus was carrying students who attended Walpole High School under the METCO program, which buses sent minority Boston students to suburban schools. Sentry said she had no further details in the accident. Spokesman Susan O'Brien at Carnegie Hospital said the ambulance has brought for a 15-year-old. Students there, while 3 others were taken to Boston City Hospital. She said the 4 were released, including Michelle Seymour, who was held in emergency room for a further evaluation with a back injury. About 40 school children were injured Friday morning when 2 school buses collided on heavily traveled Southeast Expressway just before Dewey Square tunnel to downtown Boston. The Metropolitan District Commission police charged 1 driver with operating danger. The second driver followed too closely in traffic safe.
On Friday at a public meeting. Now that's not to say that all those votes will be counted because they may not.
Concord Governor John Sununu says he sees no reason to changes. Strong support for the Seabrook, New Hampshire nuclear plant, even as he concedes that Seabrook opposition cut in his election support this week. At St. Anne's News Conference Wednesday in Concord, New Hampshire Sununu said that while residents feel their concerns about Seabrook are legitimate, they really are based on emotions, not facts. Playing down his 8% margin of victory over Paul McEachern, Sununu said that he didn't expect much more than a based on a review of the results from other off-year elections in the state. Sununu said he had his advisors were looking at an upper limit of 57-58%, and he's got 34% of McEachern's 46% official turnout figures were not expected until Thursday, but unofficial results showed about 46% of eligible voters cast their ballots, a worst off-year turnout in the state history. I would expect the erosion from 57-58 is clearly attributed to the Seabrook, but I think that more important than anything else was the low turnout. Sununu said later he said the slip was represent the Seabrook factor among the top state Republicans re-elected in Tuesday's vote, and Sununu had the smallest margin of victory. Senator Warren Redmond beat Democrat Endicott Peabody 63-32%. Well, in Van Bruce Valley picked up the additional 5%. Representative Judge Greg Trance, Democrat Lawrence Craig Green, 74-26%, and Representative Robert Smith, Democratic James Damaris, 56-44. A majority of residents voted for a proposed constitutional amendment that authorized the legislature to change the minimum dollar threshold for the jury civil suits, but not enough for the 2/3 majority needed to pass it. While acknowledging that Seabrook played a role in the race.
I can't speak for the other side, but they're eager to get this process rolling.
Concord, New Hampshire Democrats said Wednesday this year's election results showed that party is on the way back after its disastrous defeat in 1984. Republicans pointed out that they still hold the governor seat, all 4 positions in the U.S. House and Senate, and still dominate both houses in the state legislature. To the GOP means that the Democrats still have a long way to go. One issue most Republicans and Democratic leaders agree: Governor John Sununu's close and expected victory over
Doesn't mean that our decision.
anti-nuclear Democrat Paul McEachern means Sununu should moderate his position on the Seabrook plan of visa as a future in the politics. Democrat candidates just in 1984 lost races as governor, U.S. Senate, and U.S. House District, but in case of his governorship in the first House District, it was a fairly close margin, 54-46% and 56-44% respectively. Democrats also picked up the 2 seats in the 24-member state Senate and 35% in the 400-member House. Party Chairman George Bruno of Merrimack Who's disappointed that this party didn't capture in the big race to set a closer margin means the Democrat Party is revealing itself in it can only lead to future success. And the good news that the election is resurgence and the Democrats enjoyed it at local level, said Bruno, who expected to retire after 4 years. Party activist Ned Elms of Connecticut in Concord added, "You don't expect 2 years after this episode in editor to be sitting on top of the mountain." Retired GOP State Senator John Stibble of Nashua noted that the state legislature, all the Democrats did was go from the 3-1 vote to deficit to 2-1. Yes, they made some progress, but the fact remains that the majority is still very pronounced, but he said no, that the Democrats still are very low, their pre-1984 numbers.
Yesterday, did his people see anything along the lines of what you guys talked about as far as the jam machines, as far as...
Concord Democrats are hoping that the gains that they made in the New Hampshire House and Senate in Tuesday's election mean that they will have more influence.
But I'm not sure what they saw.
In the laws that are passing in the next 2 years. Since 1984, Republican Governor John Sununu will be blessed with 3-1 majorities in both houses. And friendly leaders in the Senate, all allowing him domination over the legislature process. Party leaders on both sides say, starting in journey, the margin is 2-1 in both houses, 68% in the Senate and 133 in the House. All of the Democratic numbers aren't close to being even with the Republicans. The party leaders pointed out Wednesday that the lawmaking process in New Hampshire is traditionally based on bipartisan coalitions.
Well, they're 2 completely different things. Provisional ballot.
Last 2 years, Democratic votes are where needed, as the Republicans could almost always have their way. With a margin down 2-1, the legislature round will start to return to the way before the Reagan landslide in 1984, according to those queried by the Telegraph. Of Nashua. Boston, 3 million holders of plastic cash cards from 5 New England banks will share it with the banks with 1,300 automated teller machines under the new agreement, while the 6th bank expanded its outlets with a separate agreement. Both agreements were announced Wednesday. The Bank of Boston, Bank of New England, Fleet National Bank, Sharma Bank, and State Street Bank on the 8 banks of Connecticut switch an electronic fund transfer system will be linked to a system called Yankee 24. Officials said within the 6 to 9 months, the customers with cards from any of the participating banks will be able to withdraw cash from any of the bank's machines. Eventually, it is given expected those card holders access to 1,800 machines in New England. When announced at the Yankee 24 announcement, Bank Incorporated, which has 1,250 machines in 4 New England states and 200 money supply machines in retail outlets, then announced it had joined the New York Cash Exchange. This gave the Bank 1 million cardholders access to 2,700 additional automatic teller machines in New York, New Jersey, and Southern Connecticut. Bay Banks officials said they declined invitation to join the Yankee 24. It's highly unlikely we will join, said William T. Sandler said. Jr., Bay Bank's vice chairman. Added should provide a great convenience and great efficiency. The network will eliminate much of the electronic confusion in incoming. Today, Brian Roman, the chairman of the Yankee 24, in a statement, it's got to be provided an immense greater service to bank customers, eliminate a great deal of confusion about which cards can be used and in which machines, said Lawrence K. Fisher, executive vice president of the Bank of Boston, which initiated Yankee 24. Automatic teller machines are expected to buy and operate, but they are very popular. Bay Bank's officials said more than 75 million transactions are made on the machines. Currently, the machines are cost about $40,000 a piece, and that does not include rent in the space for them or maintenance.
But the integrity of the vote.
Extra New Hampshire, jury's been able to reach a verdict in the trial of a Massachusetts man charged with the 1979 murder of his brother. A Rockland in Rockham's County Superior Court jury said that Wednesday that it could not decide the case of Norman Vaughn, a 33-year-old from T-Ticket, Massachusetts, a court supervisor, as a spokeswoman said. Vaughn is charged with first-degree murder in the death of his brother, Kevin Vaughn, 23, and Kevin Vaughn's body was found in a ditch off Interstate 95 in New Hampshire. Police believe he was bludgeoned to death with a gardener tool. A new trial will be scheduled, a spokeswoman said.
It just means that there are people.
Democrats rejoice that taking control of the Senate by a 55-45 margin as they result in Tuesday's elections, but they confronted President Reagan without a clearly defined mandate for a new political agenda. The Reagan Revolution will continue, the president said, despite the Republican loss of the Senate control, but some administration aides can see that Mr. Reagan's program faced serious difficulties. Democrats have new opportunities to fashion a new political agenda and a possible centrist coalition, and the Republicans have new problems in approaching the 1988 presidential election. Governor George McGeehan won a landslide victory over Tom Bradley, the mayor of Los Angeles, and Senator Edwin Cranston won a 4th term by narrowly defeating Representative Ed Zashow, a Republican. New Yorkers rejected party voting in the election. 2 Democrats, Governor Cuomo and Attorney General Robert Abrams, and 2 Republicans, Senator Alfonso M. D'Amato and Comptroller Edward V. Regan.
Off the top of my head.
Mario Cuomo alienated Democrats in his landslide victory. Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan said that Governor Cuomo had failed to provide enough help to other New York Democratic candidates. Hardly any other legislature change in New York State resulted from Tuesday's elections. Indeed, 194, 195 incumbent state legislatures who had sought re-election were returned to office. The Democrats have strengthened their hold on the New York State congressional delegation by 1 seat with a narrow victory in the Rochester, New York race.
Yeah, the exact precinct I can't tell you, but.
Iran's leaders are rethinking some of their foreign policies amid the war with Iraq, internal turmoil, and the
To go and sort of fix it.
desperate and economic plight, according to diplomatic experts on Iran at the United Nations. The U.S. is using any channels possible, including Iran, but will not meet outrageous demands as seeking the release of American hostages, according to a senior Reagan administration official. The Kremlin was criticized for a human rights record by a U.S. Helsinki Watch
You've been listening to
Committee report. The watchdog organization also singled out
mostly to his attorney.
other countries as major violators of
Very quickly. Right now we
human rights. The Kremlin, in a bold
60-vote
offensive to try to defend
who had
and diffuse repeated criticism of its human rights policies, proposed that an international conference on
10 days to do it.
And in 10 days.
humanitarianism should be held in Moscow.
Make the decision.
Pretoria announced the closing of 40 more black schools in the Eastern Cape and said they would not be reopened until students provided that they were ready to return to classes. Philippine elections will be held for a new national legislature next May 11th. President Corazon Aquino announced she said local elections would be held soon afterward. 3 U.S. Navy ships are in China. American officials portrayed their visit the first by American vessels since the Communists took power in 1949 as step in closer to U.S.-China military ties.
Right away with graffiti and has allowed.
NASA will reshape its management structure in its space shuttle program in an effort to eliminate false discoveries after a Challenger disaster. A White House official asked to help a military contractor by former top presidential aide later become the contractor's chief Washington representative, the contractor said. The Pope will visit 8 American cities next September. Roman Catholic bishops announced. They said John Paul II will meet with Jewish leaders in Miami. Mexicans emigrating legally will. The U.S. said their new immigration law will lead to more discrimination and exploitation of illegal workers. Small with foreign businesses face under the Tax Reform Act of 1986. For many, the new law is a mixed bag. Many of those without are incorporated will discover adjustments with to change the legal form. OSHA will seek $910,000 in fines against the Crashwell Corporation for what it called management willful failed to keep accurate records about employee injuries in an Illinois assembly plant. Some $1.5 million in construction of $1.5 billion will be started before the end of this decade at the Texas Medical Center in Houston, despite the city's economic slump resulting from a sharp drop in oil prices. Occult likely lead to murder. According to Los Angeles prosecutors, prominent people's sons will be members of the club that will be called to testify in the trial of the group's leaders. Okay, Bob Lobel has reports. Take it away, Bob. Alright, thank you, Jason Chris.
This month, get 0 to release setting on any of 14 Hyundai models or buy
In Buffalo, New York.
0% APR.
Boston Bruins general manager Harry Sinden looked out the hotel room window late last night and saw Bitchcorn walking toward the bad news he heard so far. I guess sadness isn't a way to describe how he looked. Sinden said I saw him walking down there and he didn't have a brisk step about him. I can tell that. According to some of the Sinden's room after the Bruins were crushed by the Sabres 8-3 was the second straight game in Buffalo. Had embarrassed Bruins, Boston lost 7-1 in the Garden Sunday night. Sinden has seen enough. His first act was fire Gordon as Bruins coach. Gordon left the hotel quickly and was unavailable for comment. These things are always difficult, that was no different. But something had to be done. The team had deteriorated to a point of being totally spiritless. That I wouldn't have been able to take any longer. I'm not interfering on this. Should all be heaped on Bitchcorn, but someone has to insult the motivation factor back to the team that I didn't think he was going to be Butch. Between him and other factors, we had lost a lot of that. Driving so-called spirit and motivation that become somewhat synonymous with Bruins teams, and it seemed that the way under the setup was bad. Sinden has said at the beginning of the season optimistic that Gordon would get things going well in the second year as coach of 4-2 start. Reinforced that failing that, but the Bruins have won only once since they have 5-7-1 and haven't gone 1-5-1 in their last 7 games. They are lost 3 straight.
Especially around lunchtime, the span from the west is going to come through, and the rain may be heaviest and last the longest down around southeastern Mass and McKay. That's where they're.
Boston, you told the Indiana Pacers are a team of the future. You have been told they're doing tough young sons and guns. You're being told not to take their former has-beens for granted even before they arrived at Boston last night. Boston Celtics general manager Jen Volk admitted he was talking to the 2 NBA free agents, a big man and small ones fill roster spots vacant by injuries to Bill Walton, Scott Wedman, and Danny Ainge. Business by the teams like the Pacers are a major season. Yes, the Pacers double overtime winners over the 76ers Tuesday night were certainly causing on. Never mind. Fall to the talk features the Celtics blurry the Pacers last night 135-102 thanks to Chief Torture and bottle washer Larry Bird. He scored 30 points only in 32 minutes and had 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. Unfortunately for the Celtics, right there wasn't all to be easy. They continue to hurt without Wedman, Walton, and Ainge before they go to Washington tomorrow night. They like to have their some roster questions settled. They could put the 3 players on injured reserve. Wedman and Ainge are already there, so that they signed 2 free agents. They'll have to put the Walton there too for a minimum 5-game stay. Walton's prognosis is effective. Remain cloudy team physician Tom Silva is concerned about the health of the backup center who turned 34 today. And yesterday the concern has become Walton has been practiced one second with the team. Nor does he show signs of being able to. Cynics suggest that the standard ovation given him when his birthday was not. Tonight might be the last square of the greatest concern in his history of foot problems. I'm getting discouraged. Bill can taste it. He wants it. He's very faithful to his therapy that has been well evaluated. But if we see him, we're going to see the hold up we want. No, it will be interesting to see how this all folds. I have a feeling this is going to be with the entire year, it will be a long-term thing. We can have Larry, Kevin, and Robert playing 40 minutes a game. The Iron Man is gone. If nothing happens, fine. But if Robert's ankle starts to bother him and Kevin's killer starts bothering him when it shines to doing that, there's trouble. Only Walton is only one of the 3 injured Celtics not on the injured list. Wedman's sore heel went on it last Thursday and Ainge sore back last Friday. Last night they weren't needed. After dismal failure against Milwaukee Saturday night, the bench played up to Snuff once the Chargers had to build a lead of 39 points late in the third period against the youthful Pacers. Vogt said the two veterans have been in the objective attention. Chances are that he'd be 7-1 of the Steve Hayes. Ricky Sorba's main players have recently been cut by teams preparing for the worst of the regulation sides at the beginning of the season. Such veterans would be in good playing condition, if nothing else, that would be a good practice for the team. If they can't walk, we're interested. He added that deals with expected admittedly the players. Meanwhile, Creano with dignity, Perch, who scored 19 points last night, said, "We know Bill will be back at some point. It doesn't matter how long, just as long as we come back. Besides, we still have Greg, Kite, and Kevin."
Fame comes in many forms. For Ray Butler of Norwood, he's famous for...
And Andre Tippett encountered unfamiliar about as when Andre Tippett was on his back in the middle of Sullivan Stadium last Sunday. He hadn't thought about it. Things he hadn't thought his future took a turn for worse when he was taken to hospital after spinal surgery. I was thinking whether it's when I was in hospital. Said Wednesday, the first thing you think about when something like that would have been, there goes my career. It's scary. When I was nervous, I didn't know the extent of my injury. I was worried all kinds of things.
So he just took
We're going to my head. And we'll have more than Tippett energy coming up an hour. It's news at 6. And now let's go to Bruce Schwegler with the weather. Take away, Bruce.
Nashville, the 47th annual CMA.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Right now, our current conditions out.
With a preview of country music's biggest night. The sound check's done.
5 p.m. going into 6 o'clock hour. 43 degrees at the temperature with a wind chill about 36 degrees, 2.41 degrees, the humidity 93%. By around the 3.18 inches, visibility 70 miles per hour, winds and off about 14 condition overcast skies. Okay, let's take a look at our current conditions around the region. It's 42 in Norwood, 41 out in Bedford, 40 in Worcester, 44 in Springfield and in Hartford, 45 in New Haven, 44 out in Groton, 44 in Providence, 45 in Quonset, 44 in Bedford, 51 in Nantucket, 42 in Nashua, Manchester, 41 in Concord, New Hampshire, 41 in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, 30 in Lebanon, New Hampshire, 27 in Mount Washington, 37 in Portland, Maine, 36 in Brunswick, 33 in Augusta, 35 in Bangor, 35 in Montpelier, 39 in Burlington, 44 in Albany, and 49 in New York City, and 49 in Ipswich. Okay, let's take a look at our...
Being in Nashville, Music City, and seeing all the heroes.
Let's take a look at our...
He's nominated for 3 awards.
Outlook around the country shows a wide swath of snow showers from eastern Washington, Oregon, stretching down through Idaho, down through the Southern Rockies, and stretch down into the northern plain states and up in Minnesota and northern Ontario, and a line of rain showers from UP and Michigan down to Wisconsin for Iowa and eastern Nebraska and Kansas, and a big blob of rain showers. Rain activity from Southern Oklahoma and Texas, stretching in the Gulf states and down through from Florida, stretching all the way up to New York City. Yeah? And it was warm from Texas all the way up into Missouri, and high pressure centered in Oregon and low pressure centered in Colorado, Minnesota, and Oklahoma. Okay, let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Goes like this. For tonight, fair skies will low about 20 to 30 degrees. For tomorrow, mostly sunny, increase of cloudiness with a high in the 50s. And for tomorrow night, cloudy skies low about 35 to 40 degrees. For extended outlook for Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, a chance of rain each day. Highs in the 50s, lows mid-30s to mid-40s. And that is going to be it for the live informed with this Thursday, November 6, 1986. I am Joyce Blair, alongside Chris Connecticut. Coming next would be the Eyewitness News, the evening report at 6 p.m. and starts right now.